Hey friends, it's Scott Mullins again with Rock for Him. Time for our podcast. We are up to season 2, episode 6. And as always, I am joined by my two co-hosts, Sanchuz Bukowski and Jeremy Brown. And tonight we are super privileged and honored to have a band with us that, and I want to quote this because it is an honor. Kingdom Core Music has called them heavy metal in its finest and purest form. This is the band Dire, and what a privilege it is to have you tonight. How you doing?
Doing very well, very well. I'm glad to be on.
Awesome. And again, it's much appreciated. Maybe describe, I think, is there 3 of you, or did you guys finally come up with your drummer?
No, the drummer is the third right now.
Oh, he is. Okay. I've been following for those. I've been following their Facebook page, and they've been on the hunt for a new drummer. And it sounds, I'm sure we'll get into it, but maybe go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do with the band, and maybe your bandmates that aren't with us.
My name is Joran Messer. I am the lead guitarist, or just a guitarist, and vocals in the band. Caleb Barnes plays bass guitar and also sometimes guitar. He's not here right now. And our drummer, I don't actually want to introduce our drummer yet because it's not an absolute given thing that but we've been practicing and jamming, and I think we found somebody finally that's going to be consistently playing with us.
Well, we respect that, and congratulations, and I'm sure we'll hear about it sooner or later.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the band and actually how you guys came up with the name of the band, Dire.
Well, the name part is honestly, it was really hard to find band names that weren't taken back in like 2010 or something. And I think probably based off of bands that I liked a lot, like Red and Pillar and stuff like that, I kind of like, at the time, the band was not going to be very metal at all because I'd done stuff, just solo stuff before that never really took off. And I was like, well, let's just do a rock band. People like that more and whatever. And so we wrote, this is also how the band formed. I wrote just like a rock song. Not My Home it's on volume 1. Well, a version of it is. It's not the version that we played, but wrote a song, Not My Home, and played it in a talent show. And that's kind of how we became a band. And I don't remember if it was before or after we decided on the name Dire, but it just, at the time it had, to me, it has that band, that vibe that bands, like I said, like Red and Pillar. I'm sure there's like several more that I'm not immediately thinking of, but just like, oh, it's very short and sweet and whatever. But I love metal, and like every song that I wrote after that one just kept getting more and more metal and riffy and stuff. And I was just, so it evolved into a lot heavier than that initial song. But a lot of people say that is their favorite song of ours. It's very melodic. So
it is a good song, honestly.
Oh, you've heard it.
Of course, we've heard it.
Yeah, we have. So one of the things we like to do on our podcast is we like to get your testimony story, like how you became a Christian. So I guess that's what I'm asking. How did you become a Christian?
Well, I was raised pretty much in church, and I lived in South Georgia, and I've been here all my life, and that was kind of just a matter of fact thing when I was growing up. And when I was, I think 12 or 13, I was at some sort of youth event. I don't remember what it was specifically, but like, and the speaker was talking about eternity and your soul, and what I mean, just the gravity of the gospel and everything. And it was for the first time kind of like sank in. It's like, if this is real, this is a huge deal. You know what I mean? Like, this is crucial. And so that was a night that I chose to actually, like, this is what I believe, this is what I want to base my life around. So I mean, I don't really know if you would say that's when I became a Christian or what, but I guess that's what I would say. Like I said, I was brought up in church, and that was kind of before that time, it was just given to me like, this is what you believe in. And since that time, there have been a lot of things that I've, been like, oh, this isn't actually biblical. This is just what these people think. And I've had to, kind of evaluate my faith for myself based on scripture and everything. So, but yeah, 12 or 13, I think, when I first, really believed.
Very cool. I had a similar story. I church all my life, Christian school type stuff, and thought I was saved at a young age. And it's kind of what my parents wanted me to do, what the people surrounding me wanted to do. And then, like yourself, about 12, 13, I had that, some may say, cliche moment of, aha, this is,
Yeah.
I really need to believe this. This is
Yeah.
really speaking to me, and I'm understanding it on a personal relationship with Jesus type stuff.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
it
right
has
there with you.
implications.
Go ahead.
Well, I said in that it has implications, because before
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? It's easy for it to just, oh, this is just a part of whatever. I'm a Christian because that's what we do. But then it's like, wait a second, if this is true, it carries so much weight with it. It, you know what I mean? There's so much that comes from that. So
Right.
it kind of necessitates a change in direction most of the time. So pretty much always.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at what age or when did you realize, when did you start playing music, and at what point, and what was the situation where you're like, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be a rock star. I want to preach the word of Christ through my music. I want to be a Christian band. And maybe tell us a little bit about that.
I don't honestly even remember when I first started writing music. I wrote like really just stupid songs when I was like probably like single digit kid, with my family, just about just dumb random stuff. Not nothing like bad, but just goofy things that were just really silly and childish. But I didn't when I was like I want to say 16, and probably leading up to that, I'd listened to the Supertones were kind of the biggest influence on me. Not necessarily musically, obviously, but just like period, like in that period when I was kind of like evaluating my faith and whether or not I believed and what it meant and everything. I'm sure you're familiar with the Supertones, and they're just an excellent band. That's still probably my favorite band. Anyway, and they got me into rock and that sort of music, and eventually evolved into bands like Demon Hunter and stuff like that I really enjoyed. And I think when I was like 16, I started, I was like, I want to learn guitar, and I actually have it back here behind me. It's this old acoustic guitar. It's a Galveston, which I'd never heard of before or since. But so I learned on that, and then my family bought me like one of the most basic Jackson Rhodes guitars at the time, and I started, playing riffs and stuff like that, and writing songs that were very mediocre. And I mean, I think at that point, even though I knew it's like, man, I would love to do this if I can, I didn't necessarily think of it as something that I could do. My mom, like, I'd listen to music and hear like guitar solos and stuff. I was like, man, I wish I could do that, but I'll never be able to do that. My mom was like, why not? And I was like, oh. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'd always wanted to do it, but up until a certain point, it wasn't something that I thought was like realistic. Because I'm like, I don't know how to play guitar. I don't know how to write songs. I still feel like that though. Sometimes I'm like, how do you write a song? What do you do? But
So, I mean, just coming from a personal standpoint here, real quick, I'm probably the newest Christian out of the four of us on screen right now. And when I became a Christian, I started listening to, I came from a background of listening to like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, stuff like that. Came to know Christ, and I started listening to Christian music, and I was like, oh wow, I don't know if I can do that. And that's the blessing of this show, at least for me, because it's introducing me to bands like yours. Like, I had a small inkling of Christian metal, and I think it was Jeremy sent me a link to your guys' music and was like, check these guys out. And I was just like, yes. So
awesome.
I mean, as a guy who grew up in metal music, I just want to say thank you for what you do. You give guys like me, like Scott, like Jeremy, you give us something that we can worship to. I mean,
Yes.
So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, tying into that a little bit, what are your influence? I know you said Supertones, which I'm unfamiliar with. But who are your influences? Who gets you excited to listen to music?
Other than the Supertones, by the way, if you're not at all familiar with them, it's like ska, which is not very close to metal at all. So it was like
I've listened to some ska,
kind of a big jump. But honestly, they're still my favorite band. But I always loved Demon Hunter, especially a lot of their earlier stuff.
Yeah.
musically, there's like a handful of bands that I like the way they sound, but I don't listen to them because their lyrics are just so negative, if that makes sense. There's like, I won't name them, I guess, but just like certain big, like secular metal bands. And it's not necessarily like I will only listen to bands that profess, Christianity, but there's some stuff that's like, dude, this is just like lyrically garbage. And even though it sounds so cool, I'm like, I can't enjoy it.
Right.
But they're a band like Trivium to me is a band I wasn't really aware of. And I think they've got some stuff that I'm like, I don't really agree with, some of what this is saying, but like musically, they've I think been a big influence on me in a way, as far as just the way that they write stuff and what they can do and me thinking of like what you can and can't do within metal, because I know we're all like, oh, we can't put it in a box and you can't do that and be creative, but then you still kind of do it where I'm like, well, you can't put that in a song, or guitar parts have to be this way, or you got to do Trivium, Demon Hunter, Living Sacrifice. I love the Showdown. I love the Showdown, and they played Furnace Fest and a couple shows after that, and I don't know right now if they're doing stuff. I saw David's like in another band, but I'm hoping they're gonna get back together and be playing, because I've loved that kind of stuff, like riffy, fast, driven, but in a sense, kind of simple stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So I'd say a lot of that has been influenced. Living Sacrifice, I said them already, but some of their riffs and stuff are just so like, it's like really straight up, but it's just so heavy, and that's the stuff I go for in a lot of the riffs that I write, where it's just like hefty feeling, in a way.
So let's talk tour dates. Where have you guys been? Like, what's your favorite venue? Where would you like to go?
Oh man, we have. I mean, like right now, we're not, because of the drummer situation. We've not played like in a while. But my favorite show that we've ever played was Audio Feed a few years back, and that was just awesome. You know what I mean. It wasn't necessarily there was like a ton of people there to see us, but it was just, we played shows around here, like Valdosta, Georgia. I live in Quitman, Georgia. It's like a few minutes from Valdosta, which is like a bigger town, but we played shows around here, and there's people that like it and like metal, but not, you know what I mean. There's a lot of the people were just there for oh, that person's my nephew, or oh, this person I work with, or whatever. And that, but Audio Feed was like, everybody was there to listen to that kind of music, and surprisingly, a few people had heard of us, and it's just really cool. For me, like we play a lot of shows, and people could really care less about our lyrics because it's not necessarily a Christian venue or whatever. But there were people where I could see like, they'd catch on to what I was saying in certain songs and be like, yes, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, that's good, because I love when that happens for me with a band, where I'm like, oh, this was cool, this band's really good. And then I hear them saying something that's like, that is the truth that they're speaking, you know what I mean? So that was probably my favorite, just because of the response and the people and just the atmosphere there. Show that we played, my favorite venue, I think, which honestly, we've not played a ton of places, but I really like Furnace 41 in Jonesboro, Georgia. It's just the guy that runs it just runs it awesomely, in my opinion. His name's Bo, and it's just really legit. It's really awesome.
Okay.
Very cool. And is there, actually, I'm going to step one back. I think Jeremy had a second part to his question. Is there stuff up and coming? You got any plans, or you're still kind of straightening out?
As far as shows?
Yeah.
Not presently. No, there aren't, unfortunately. Like I would love, I mean, we were talking about it the other day, me and the guy that's, potentially going to be drumming for us. But we kind of didn't want to rush into, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Setting that
understand.
for sure. Yeah. And we played like a year, or maybe, I don't know, it was several years back. We played like a string of shows without a drummer. That's the lamest thing ever. It was just like, dude, this is like, you can, we played without a bassist one time, and I'm not saying bassists aren't important or whatever, but just like visually and energy wise,
Yeah.
a drummer represents so much more in the context of a stage or something, just the movement and the energy, and you literally just beating them and stuff like that. It's just not the same when it's just coming out of speakers and nobody's playing it, to me, and to a lot of people. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question, I guess, would be, you've got, is it 2 albums and 1 EP, or because you came out with volume 1, I think it showed maybe around 2017, and then there was a little bit of a gap, and it looks like recently You've just released volume 2, and we're excited. You've sent us Holding On, and that premiered on our shows this week. But we've had in our library Not Enough, Oblivion God, and No Dying Breed. And I think those were all off volume 1. Is that correct?
No, actually, those are all off. Those are off volume 2. Holding
Oh,
on.
they are. Okay.
Holding on was gonna be on volume 2, and it honestly, in retrospect, I'm glad it wasn't because it doesn't really fit the vibe. But like, it ended up we didn't really get a good version of it, so I kind of reworked it afterwards and made it a little faster and stuff, and just released it as a single.
Okay. So was that just a single release?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. And that just came out.
Yes, that came out.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022.
I got you. I guess we'll have to go revisit volume 1 then. Is there, I know you mentioned the song earlier. I don't think I had heard it. I think these guys said they had, but
Not My Home.
that was off volume 1?
Yeah, that one's off volume 1. My favorites are the first and last songs, All Glory, which it's just like a straight up metal worship song basically, and Wages of Sin, which is the closing track. But there's 15 tracks on that one and 14 on volume 2, so they're like big albums.
Wow. Wow,
Which is probably a bad idea, but
never a bad idea. Never. We
well,
want
I mean,
more.
business wise. That's where I'm coming from, is because I love when I get a record that's just like, man, there's like so much to this. You know, it's always disappointing when, not disappointing necessarily, but sometimes just when a band I like puts out a record and it's 10 songs and one of them is just like a weird audio thing. It's like, 30 seconds. I'm like, dang, this isn't. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to release like a record. You know what I mean? Like, I think both of them are right at an hour long. So the plan is to keep going with that as far as the volume, 1, 2, 3, etc.
I got you.
That's
Well,
awesome. Cool. So, do you have a favorite song that you've actually written? Is there something that you're like, oh, I want people to hear this. I love playing this live. For a guy like me, okay, just getting to know you guys, tell me a song that you absolutely love to play and you want me to hear.
That I love to play live.
Yeah.
Two immediately come to mind. And I don't know exactly why it is, but like both of them are so fun just to actually perform. Watch It Burn and Put It to Death, which actually that's on the Depths EP that we released like in 2017, and the recording has guest vocals from Ryan Kirby, which is really cool. But I don't know, something about like the speed of them or something. It's like they're kind of simple, like riff wise, they're not as fast, but maybe that's what makes them fun to play live. But they're just, I don't know, you can bounce to them or something. I don't know what it is.
I'll have to go check those out then. I'm writing them down right now.
So right. One of the questions we ask a lot of our guests is if there was one band who came knocking on your door and said, get everything together, you're going on tour with us, like stop what you're doing, let's go, who would it be and why?
I'd probably say Demon Hunter, just because they've been like one of my favorite bands and just like a staple in my listening library for since I was a teenager. Plus they don't tour like a whole lot, so that would also be significant for that reason. And they just, you know what I mean, like we've met Yogi, and I've met Jeremiah, actually kind of helped work on some of volume 1. They just seem like cool dudes, and that would be, I think our sounds like fit enough together for that to be like, you'd have a lot of overlap as far as fans. So
agreed.
Yeah, it would be a great show for sure.
Maybe one day.
And when it happens, you're bringing it through Michigan so we can be there.
Right. Right.
So with that being said, who have you shared the stage with? I know you had mentioned the one festival that you enjoyed.
Your audio kind of cut out. I couldn't hear exactly what you said after.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had mentioned the one show that you enjoyed with a couple of the say non-Christian bands, but who else have you shared the stage with? Is there maybe even more off that one?
We played a show with, the name is escaping me right now, Silent Planet. Okay, I was thinking Sleeping Giant because they like phonetically sound similar, and I'm like, we did not play with Sleeping Giant, but somewhere in Florida with Silent Planet, which honestly I was not even aware of them at the time, and they weren't as big, as they've become and whatever. But my friend, he was really into them, and he was like, dude, that would be so awesome if we could do that, and we ended up I don't remember how, but we ended up playing that show with them. Trying to think of other bands that we played. We played right before, like the night before, Hatebreed in Atlanta, but that doesn't count.
That counts.
I think Project 86 was at that at Audio Feed, and Jason Wisdom's not Become the Archetype, but Death Therapy. I want to say played Audio Feed also.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. Those as far as the bands that I'm familiar with or have listened to or whatever that we played with, I would say those. There's probably a few more, but I immediately they don't come to mind.
Okay.
Oh, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. We played with them in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice. Jeremy?
So are you guys working on any new music?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like a lot. We've got one that we're trying to shoot a video for, like within the next couple weeks. And I'm supposed to have like the final mix version of that. And it's really hard for me to like not release stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, and I know I need to wait and do the video. I mean, to release it like that. But it's like everyone that's heard is like, dude, this song is good. This is one of you guys' like best songs, and it's just got like feels like Dire, but it's also got like something different to it. So I'm really excited about that one. And I've got probably half of the next like full album written, and I'm I mean, like riff wise, I've like, no joke, I've probably got like 100 plus riffs written for that, and little parts and ideas and lyric ideas and stuff like that, like subjects to write on. But as far as actually written ones, probably I'm about halfway done writing that. But I'm trying to not, he mentioned earlier how we released volume 1 in 2016, and then it was like 5 years until we released volume 2. I'm trying hopefully to avoid that, but even if it ends up being longer than I'd want to release that, I want to keep writing 2 songs for the record, 1 song just to release, or what I mean. Nowadays you just have to be releasing stuff pretty constantly for people to keep caring or remembering that you exist.
Absolutely, yeah. So if there was one thing that you could tell the Rock for Him listeners that are just getting to know who Dire is, what would you want them to know about you guys?
Trying to think, and so I'm gonna make it good, but I like period at all, like something about us, or just the thing I want them to know.
Just something that that you would want them just to know about you guys. Like if you could make a statement about, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is why you should listen to us. What is it that you would want people to get out of your band?
Just for people like me and us, I guess, that are like, I don't want to say substance or whatever, but just like, I try to be honest with the lyrics. I try to be, like write real stuff that matters, and not just like, oh, this would sound cool, or like, oh, this will do really well in this market or whatever. But just like, I think like on our website or something, it's the 4 words are just like passion, aggression, power, and conviction, and just those things are just like, I'm not saying they do, like that describes the band perfectly, but I would like for them to, and that's kind of what I strive for and want to be like. Because not everybody cares about lyrics, and not everybody cares about substance, but like for the people that do, I want there to be something there. You know what I mean? Where it's like, man, that hits me, that resonates with me. It's not just, you know what I mean? Because for me, I think that's why I love metal. That's why I love music, is because it's such a powerful language. You know what I mean? It has that capacity to sometimes speak in a way that just speaking doesn't, necessarily suffice to do.
It's kind of like you said earlier, you're not just throwing a track on to fill the CD up. Your stuff is really good. I know everything I've heard has been phenomenal, and it's fun to listen to. If you're watching the podcast and haven't heard of Dire, go out, check them out. In fact, maybe you could let us know where they could find you, what social media pages, if you have a website, stuff like
Right
that.
now, just going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our website is direband.com. And we've got at least a handful of music videos up there, and they're all on YouTube. And we sell merch in the CD. If someone wants to buy a CD, like a physical CD, that's pretty much that, or live shows, which aren't happening right now. So our website is basically the only place you can, and that is obviously for us a lot better than like buying it streaming, because everybody knows you buy a record on streaming and it gives us maybe like a couple cents or something. But and if you're like me, I like to get a CD and like read the lyrics and open it up, and you know what I mean. So we have physical CDs available there, but I think like most of our social media things are just Dire Band. Like we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, but we basically aren't on Twitter because we don't ever post anything. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm a physical CD guy too. I remember the days where it was like, play number 6,
Yeah.
backseat or something, or number 2, and then it's nice to have it, hold it, like you said, look through it, read the lyrics. So I'm with you. That's, maybe I'm old school, but I'm proud.
Me too. I
Yeah.
love it too. That's
What I actually do is I like to buy it like iTunes or whatever, which I know you only get a couple of cents off from it. I buy it there, but then when I go to the show, I buy the physical copy and I have the band sign it so I can put it up on my wall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that way I'm kind of buying it twice. And
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, so
And to add to what I said earlier too, I'm not one of those people where I'm not criticizing people that buy digitally or whatever, because I have a lot of band friends like, don't do that. I'm like, dude, I'm grateful that anybody listens to us at all. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
we've given away a lot of music, because I'm like, obviously it would be great to make a lot of money from this, and maybe one day that'll be a thing where it's like I can quit my day job and just go tour and play music. But like, I would rather people hear the music and me not get money than them not hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't shaming people, like streaming it or whatever, even though that doesn't give us money per se.
I'm just impatient, and when someone drops a new CD, I'm like, I want it now, and then I'll buy a physical copy later.
yeah.
Well, I have like Apple Music, so I still listen. You know what I mean? Just because it's on my phone and my headphone, it's convenient to have it on my phone, but I still like to order it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, Jeremy, what you got? You got anything?
Well, I mean, we are kind of winding things down. And another thing we do is we like to pray for you. So, what can we as a ministry be praying for you guys, or you specifically? Like,
I would just say direction, and just you know what I mean, like everything with the drummer and just the band, as far as the lineup and everything, and us being able to go out and play. And also like a big thing would just be like lyrics and subject matter and stuff like that, just to write stuff that's gonna be relevant to people, and you know what I mean, just like truthful and matter, because you know what I mean, I want that to be what we do. I don't want it just to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'm out of things that I know to write about. So this, and also just truthful as far as like the gospel, you know what I mean? Like, not like every song is literally just preaching the gospel, but like I also, just because I've observed it in a lot of bands that I've followed and stuff, I feel wary of myself, like getting to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, they know we're a Christian band, so I never write about it. I never talk about Jesus, and never talk about my faith in any open way or whatever. And you don't have to beat people over the head with it, but I mean, it's just like, dude, it's so, I'm never going to write enough songs where I've effectively covered all that there is to cover about God and who he is, or the gospel, and how important it is, or how awesome it is and everything. So just that. I know that was like a long thing of multiple different things, but
It's all good.
Writing for the subsequent songs.
Awesome. Scott, you want to go ahead and close us out in prayer?
Sure. Let's pray, guys. Awesome Father in heaven, thank you once again for a evening of fellowship with my fellow brothers here. And the band Dyer and Joran. We really appreciate him coming on and giving his testimony and his ministry through music, and the other band members. Just put hands over them tonight. We'd like to pray for wisdom as they write songs and music and things that would honor and glorify you. And we thank you that it looks like you may have sent them the drummer. Continue to bless that and show your way and your will in that area for the band. Thank you for the Rock for Him ministry and the time to come on and promote you and these bands that support and shed the light to the world. We love you. Please be with us as we walk through this confusing world. Just show us your way. Help us to be a light to the unsaved. And as always, we thank you for sending your son, Jesus, to die for our sins on the cross, and the grace that you have given to us. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, Joran, before we let you go, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. This is honestly a lot of fun for us. It was an honor getting to talk to you. Scott, Jeremy, this is awesome as always. Joran, also, when you guys do have something coming out, let us know. We've been trying to update our website, to have music releases, like, hey, this guy's got music dropping on this day. If you guys got tours, so let us know. Go on our chat group and share out our top 15 list. Let's get you guys on there and get some Dyer on our top 15. Honestly, I mean, you guys deserve to be on there.
Thank you.
I agree.
But before we get out of here, I just want to remind you that if you're going to rock for him. All right, everyone watching and listening, thank you for joining us. I want to say have a good night.
If you like what you saw today, hit the subscribe and like button down below, and don't forget to share it to all your friends. Also, leave us a comment down below. If you're going to rock for him.